Hello, and welcome to the 2-Bit Game Club. I'm your host, Liam Gallagher. Today we are continuing with Donkey Kong Forever, specifically our third installment. So, while in the rest of the 2-Bit Game Club, we pick a different game every month and play through it within the month with our viewers in order to learn more about that game and that era of the video game industry. In Donkey Kong Forever, we are sticking to one game, specifically two games, Donkey Kong Country and Donkey Kong Country 2, in order to learn as much as possible about those two great works of the 16-bit era. So I'm still on my first actual playthrough of Donkey Kong Country. This banana is so hard to get. So the program is quite young, but the whole idea here is we're going to be trying to make observations and learn lessons from the game that you wouldn't necessarily be able to learn if you were just passing through the game once. So, believing that this is a very strong piece of video game design and video game art and whatnot, we're going to scour it until there's nothing left to be learned. As a composer and as a musician, I sort of liken it to, instead of learning a different piece every month, to picking a piece of music to be your specialty and knowing it absolutely inside and out, being able to answer any question about it, so that you can come as close to having full comprehension about what made such a good game so good. So one of the things I absolutely love about Donkey Kong Country is the fantastic music in the game, and this is definitely one of the more memorable tracks, one of the memorable pieces of background music in the game. So let's spend some time listening to it. It's frustrating when you hit those bugs in midair because the platform moves on and Donkey's second jump is you'll see that the character that's still alive does get sort of like a courtesy hop, but it's often not enough. So one of the things that makes this, for me, such a memorable piece of music is this moment. Not that moment. I think it's the next moment that's like that. But I cut that short. So, I mean, what's in a good piece of video game music design? Certainly something that captures the atmosphere of the scenario you're playing in goes a long way. Something that is tuneful and catchy, but not so repetitive that it gets on your nerves. So it has variety, but still has consistency. Meets the tone. Oftentimes you want the music to not necessarily dominate the experience that you're having playing the game, but to still like have a level of activity and presence that that is contributing, because we've all played games where, like, you know, the music just fades into nothing and you don't even remember that it's there, and that's kind of not enough, right? Because the music should be, I mean, obviously there's different use cases, different reasons to have music in the game, but I'm thinking in the context of Super Donkey Kong Country, you don't want the music to be so subdued and in the background that you don't even you forget that it's there entirely, because that is boring. TNT, tint. So somewhere in between the two, though, because you don't want it to be distracting. I think that, like, from level to level or zone to zone, or however the music is implemented from, like, sound cue to sound cue, you want there to be enough variety so that things are distinct. So, like, one clear way that they've done it here is the sound palette, if you will. The types of instruments that are being used and the textures that they're playing in are very different between this level and the last level. So there's a lot of, like, more. Obviously, all these sounds are synthesized. But yeah, I don't care about bananas. But the sound palette here is going for a more artificial sounding one. You hear the synth lead, the high pitched thing, and the rhythmic pattern in the bass. Sounds very mechanical, if not like strictly like a machine, but it has sort of like a rhythmic accuracy that's like indicative of an electronic performance and not necessarily a human being. Although that being said, since the integration of synthesizers and whatnot into music, now there's very, very rhythmic, accurate performers who can play the bass like that. So I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's definitely evocative of a machine aesthetic instead of like the rich and varied performance of a human. It's a consistent driving sound of something that's calculating its performance. I guess I don't really need these bananas, so I'm here more out of like a gameplay habit. How else do we accomplish the machine aesthetic here? Let's listen. So like the siren-y synth lead high voice, the sort of like wail or the screechy sound. So one aspect that makes that feel very machine-y or computer-y, or however you want to think about it, is the way that the dynamics are handled in that voice. So there's a very even crescendo, which is the music getting louder. Just want to prove I can do it. And then diminuendo is a sound getting quieter. So like would be a crescendo and a diminuendo. And while human beings are good at phrasing loud to soft, they don't do it the same way that computers do typically, where computers do it based on mathematical formula. And you can get very tricky with it and program in human-like diminuendos and crescendos that phrase like a person would. But for the most part, the easiest thing to do, the easiest sound to get in a diminuendo or a crescendo out of a computer is the nice, smooth, mathematically perfect operation, which is even to be desired, right? Because if you're going to use the computer at all, right, you should get effects that are unique to it, right? Like in the same way that you would hire a musician because they have a particular specialty that you want to emphasize, you hire the computer because it does things that a human performer couldn't do, right? And so those long and smooth and mathematically perfect crescendos and diminuendos definitely tap into like a machine aesthetic that's used to great effect in this level. To the top note there. So another effect in this that I would say is very computery is the use of digital delay. So digital delay is very similar to like the effect that's familiar in like rock music, which is like tape delay, which is basically you make a noise, right, and which gets sent to your microphone, and then you get sent into a device that splits the signal, and it sends it first right to the speaker so that it actually creates the noise, right? So you can imagine electricity powering the speaker, but then it also is going to go into a second thing that's going to record that signal and then play it back later, right? So as a result, you get sort of an echo effect. In music, an echo, like in audio processing, echo actually is a different effect than delay is, which we can talk about at some time. But just so you know that this, what you're hearing, is delay and not echo. So you're hearing it on the marimba-y type sound effect. It's very like percussive. That's the marimba thing. Oh no, my monkey! I guess I shouldn't have gotten greedy and just thrown the barrel. I guess it's my habit in these types of games to like always, even though I know where most of the secrets are, to always assume that the secret is the next one over. Even though that's kind of silly, because we're gonna have lots of time. We're gonna have lots of time to get all the secrets. Yeah, and then you can combine delay effects to do other things that computers are good at doing. Like one thing that a synthesizer is good at doing that a human being cannot do is pan. So panning is how heavily your signal favors which channel of the stereo, right? So stereo is audio divided up into more than one, specifically two sound sources. So like you'll notice if you have a pair of headphones on, you're wearing two headphones, right? The right headphone and the left headphone often, depending upon how it's mixed, but often will have actual different signals and different audio. And so your panning is where you're putting each of those signals. And of course, that's something that a human being cannot do, right? You cannot divide your voice into the right and left channel. We're not built that way. We don't have that capacity. And so on top of the delay, they're also making use of stereo panning in that last track to have the first note in the delay on, I believe it was on the left side of the stereo channels, and then the delay effect, so like the echo that you're hearing is heard in the right channel. Yeah, which is very mechanical. So that's just scratching the surface on some of the techniques that are used so effectively in that tune. So it's pretty crazy, all of what's going on there. Oh! Hilarious. But we'll dig a little more heavily in future playthroughs into the specifics of that. Right now we're in the stage where we're just getting the first experience of what it's like to play through this game for anybody who has not had the distinct pleasure of doing so already. Nanners, nanners, nanners. K is for Kong. Yeah. So these levels are kind of funny. It's like the thing where you try to keep your balance while walking on the curb on the sidewalk, and it's hard to keep your balance as soon as you think about having to be in that small like range of footing. When in reality, like all day, every day, you walk lines that are just as like perilous. You just don't think about it, right? So it's like you put somebody on a board that's 2 inches, 10 inches, however wide, and you put it 100 feet in the air. People are going to be worried about losing their balance. But then if you just draw those lines right on the ground, people don't have the same concerns. And I feel like this level and these types of levels are kind of like that, in that difficulty-wise, the platforming hasn't really changed. It's just like the process of having to rejudge those distances as you jump make the pretty rudimentary elements of platforming seem like they're more difficult than they are. So it's an interesting technique to use to find a way to iterate on the platforming challenge in a way that doesn't require like new crazy power-ups or extra abilities from the characters, right? Donkey Kong and Diddy still only have 2 principal abilities, which is jump and roll, right? Yeah, by doing things like that, like altering the speed of it, all you're doing is changing the timing, and so you're like altering the player's like perception of distance and speed makes the existing mechanics already more difficult. Hello in the stream, yeah. Now this is an awesome game. This is probably my favorite game of all time, and it's also the game that got me into video game development. I'm actually a composer for video games, and here at 2-Bit Game Club, we're all about trying to figure out what makes good games design good. And so we're doing Donkey Kong Forever. It's this thing we do every week until the end of time, to try to learn as many lessons about the game as can be learned. Somehow I feel like I got duped out of grabbing that rope by the nanners. Maybe I can make the jump. Yeah, so the moving platform thing is definitely a very interesting way of upping the difficulty of the basic challenge of the game without having to implement any new player mechanics or whatnot. You're just remixing the way that people are already familiar with interacting with the environment and controlling the characters, which is cool. So like one thing, like we just finished playing through Banjo-Kazooie for the 2-Bit Game Club. Nice. We got other people agreeing that this is a top pick for the SNES. Yeah, like in terms of what was done on the SNES, in terms of like how games looked, how games sounded, how games played. I don't know if there's really more of a fine-tuned piece of work than this thing, right? Like, there's lots of games with great gameplay, and there's lots of games with great music, and there's lots of games with good art, but I don't know any other that really combined all those aspects so well. Yeah, it's a real beauty of a game. So it's useful to know that as I go through and talk about the various parts of the design. Ah, my monkey! it's useful to note the incredible bias I have for this game. But that's fine. This is meant to be a celebration of the game and talking about valuable things that we can learn from it. It's not supposed to be... Liam gives a sober and unimpassioned perspective on the game. Yeah, I really do think that this game is about as good as it gets for the era. It's interesting that we're talking about Banjo-Kazooie, because it's my monkey! It's another Rare game. And they, initially Banjo-Kazooie was designed to be a follow-up to Donkey Kong Country 2 for the SNES. Oh no, my monkey! I gotta pay more attention and talk less, I guess, if I don't want to get my monkeys killed. So yeah, Rare had envisioned the initial concept for Banjo-Kazooie as, as a follow-up to this, but then the development went on so long that it eventually became Banjo-Kazooie. Ah, too slow! Oh well. I'll have to find some other lives elsewhere. And that game was going to be using the digital modeling technology that they used in order to make Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong and all the like snake guys and Neki, the guys who little vulture guy who's been shooting nuts at us, or I don't even know what they are. Look as good as they do. But beyond like fancy 3D rendering tricks on the Super Nintendo, I feel like a lot of the there's some good like strong aesthetic choices being made use of, because obviously like the Super Nintendo had super limited assets in terms, or like, yeah, we can use the word asset here, in terms of what it could crunch out graphically. But I think that even though these are like low textures, they're making use of a small number of like on-screen colors and interesting integration between the front layer and the background layer to create a real sense of space using the limited capacity, which is cool. Yeah, so one of the reasons why I'm lumping in this Let's Play series Donkey Kong Country 2 with Donkey Kong Country, and as our valiant users are pointing out in the stream, is that there's an amazing... Oh no! I knew there was bananas there and I just killed myself because I was talking. Is that it's a wonderful example of a developer just iterating on a solid foundation, right? So everything that Donkey Kong Country did wonderfully with game design, with gameplay, level types, enemy designs, music integration, sound effect design and whatnot, I think was just taken to its logical and wonderful conclusion in Donkey Kong Country 2. So that's why we're going to be lumping those two games in together, because I think that if Donkey Kong Country 2 and Donkey Kong Country had come out today, Donkey Kong Country 2 would probably be DLC, like extra levels. In Donkey Kong Country 3, which is not a game that I have a lot of love for, it's clear that they introduced a lot new gameplay concepts, and Kiddy Kong, I think his name was, or Dinky Kong, I forget. I think, if I remember correctly, they broke away from the DK naming thing. But, see, this is how well I know that game, that I don't even remember the name of the character. Sort of was like they took the game to new places, which, I mean, good for them. They're a game developer. They've got to explore their concepts. But for me, never really captured... I bet there's some secrets down there. We're going to get through the level first, though. We're not going to worry about that. Never really captured the spirit of what made Donkey Kong Country so good. But we are going to put Donkey Kong Country and Donkey Kong Country 2 together. So at first, I'm just going to be playing the two games to beat them, and then we're going to do like hilarious like gameplay topics. Too early. Which is either very boring or very fascinating, depending upon how you feel about game design. But, you know, I think there's plenty of live streams and Let's Plays out there that are, yo, it's your boy Liam heavy, look at me speedrun a thing, and that's cool. And I appreciate that there's people out there doing that, but we're taking a little bit more of an egg-headed approach to this, because that's what I want to do. This is my live stream. It's also your live stream, though, so please do continue to comment and send in your ideas. Cool, so one of our users on the live stream is actually also live streaming Donkey Kong Country. So, I know you can hear me. My hands are a little busy right now, but if you would throw the link in the comments, in the chat in the live stream, I'll make sure that I put the link up in our Twitter feed to let everybody following us know that To The Game Club users are cool people who make cool videos and care about good video games. Because the more the merrier, right? I'm serious about wanting people's input. I mean it. Man, let's get some hot saves. Oh, Candy Kong. There's much to be said about Candy Kong. And we're just cruising through this game. We're in the middle of episode 3 and we're already over halfway through. The polluted underwater levels. The limited environmental commentary that exists in this game. Industry is ruining our natural resources. You know? Some deep stuff, Donkey. It's all about how we have to trade off the needs of industrialization in a global economy against our environmental capital, and whether or not we might be able to live in a society that doesn't have to do that math, and instead can be prosperous in a way that doesn't require pollution. Because whether or not you think it's acceptable to damage nature, it's certainly not necessary. I don't know if any of that's actually in the game. If I'm just putting that in that, but I think that the spinning tires with spikes in them are probably a metaphor for something. It's all a metaphor. That guy's a metaphor. These bubbles are a metaphor. Donkey Kong is a metaphor. It's all, you know, it's all a metaphor. It's all glutens. Anywho. Yeah, the water level music is really good. I think that one of the things that's really nice about the water levels in Donkey Kong Country is that they feel floaty, but they also still feel crisp and in control. There's a lot of underwater games. Kirby does a pretty good job of that too in most of the Kirby games. I've been playing Kirby's Row Bobo Bot Planet recently, and the underwater levels feel good there. But I think it's because because they still manage to give you that floaty, weightless feeling. But it's really not like an ow. It's not floaty. It's not floaty in terms of like absolutely what floaty controls could feel like. But it's floaty in terms of what the rest of the platforming is like. So I think the contrast is successful, and that's enough. Right? We don't have to do horrible Mario 64 water or horrible Banjo-Kazooie water. Yeah, so good job, Rare. But not in Banjo-Kazooie. Bad job there. Ah, my monkey! Apparently my stream doesn't allow links. So sorry if I was trolling you. I didn't mean to. If you could actually send me the link on Twitter, I'll make sure to get it out. We tweet at 2-Bit Game Club. Sorry to do a bait and switch on you there. Yeah, I'm just gonna say I'm an idiot. And leave it there. Hey, we got on guard. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm playing this on the Wii U Virtual Console. Oh no! See? Proof. Yeah, I'm really glad that Nintendo has kept a lot of these classics alive through the Virtual Console. Yeah, I guess the auto setting for this stream is to delete links, which now that I'm thinking about it, is a good idea. It was only a bad idea because I asked you to post it, and that makes me a jerk for not knowing my own stream well enough. But I'll make it up to you, I promise. Yeah, so I really like that these classics are being kept alive and playable, because otherwise we would not be able to share this experience where it's literally sunk cost fallacy happening in the stream. So I lost On Guard and went chasing after him to try to get my swordfish back, and then ended up losing 2 monkeys on top of 1 swordfish. It was literally a sunk cost fallacy, which tickles me. But I think we can get him back here. Yeah, the music is so soothing. Matricula, I agree with that. I don't know if you're saying your name wrong, but yeah, it's amazing how well Rare did a type of level that so many game developers do so badly, including themselves later in Banjo-Kazooie, where the water levels are hateful things. But here, like, the music, the quality of the controls, the types of enemies, like the pacings of the levels, make the underwater levels feel like a pleasure. They feel like a rest in between the more like difficult and tight platforming levels. It amazes me. Yeah, I'm always blown away. Yeah, being a writer myself, a musician, I am deeply affected by the success here, because I know how hard it is to try to write music like that. But even little effects like that siren that sweeps across the left channel to the right channel, I'll point it out next time it comes through, does such a good job of just creating a sense of like atmosphere and space. Yeah, that harp effect did it too. I don't know how well that comes through in the Twitch's version of truncating the bitrate on the audio, but hopefully it sounds as beautiful as it does to me listening to headphones plugged into my Wii U. I always like this section where there's like the school of fish. It's just sort of like a cute thing, right? Because in Nature Fish School, why can't they school in Donkey Kong? Alright, let's go see the Crank Dank. I always found Cranky funny, but I don't know why he's there. I guess it's just like a cute callback, but yeah. So yeah, no, do send us that link to at 2-Bit Game Club on the Twitter, and we'll shout that out. But yeah, anybody, if they want to share their thoughts on this game, I'd be glad to know them. We do podcasts and other sorts of things, and we're always looking for listener feedback. The whole premise of this show is that we're trying to create a dialogue in the community about good game design. And to that effect, I'm based in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and once a month with our 2-Bit Game Club games, we do a discussion group at a local venue called Electric Perfume, and it's sort of like the way we call it is it's a book club for games, basically, right? So this month, the game that we're doing is Metal Gear Solid, and we'll actually be recording the first Let's Play live stream episode directly after this. I'll be joined by my co-host Emily Hermstad, who's based in Vancouver, which is very interesting. She is an artist in the video game industry and has lots of intelligent things to say about video game art that I do not. Thanks for the tweet, bro. I really do appreciate it. And just to show you how sincere I am, I'm going to retweet it right this second. Bam, done. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear that, but that's the sound of me not being able to speak. I don't know if you can hear that in the stream, but that's the sound of me not being able to spell discussion. Alright, back at it. Alright, Minecart Madness. Everybody loves the minecart games in this. So thinking about it, there's like 3 control schemes in this game. There's the minecart levels, there's the regular old platforming, and then we have the underwater levels. And each one feels better than the last. Oh! I don't know what happened there. Yeah, the minecarts do kind of psych you out. They have a different rhythm in play than the rest of the game does. They have like a sense of momentum where you don't have the timing to sort out your landings or anything like that. You just sort of have to, learn to love the cart. But from a design perspective, they make a lot of sense because it allows the game designer to anticipate all the timings for all the game events you're going to encounter, right? So the placement of all the enemies is predetermined, and they know exactly at what second of gameplay you'll encounter them, which gives a lot of control to the level designer to make interesting scenarios. We don't care. Oops. Donkey Kong is so unimpressed. So I feel like that's one of the reasons why throughout this game, Donkey King, why the minecart levels feel so, for lack of a better word, like tight. There's just like, they're in the pocket, to use like a music term. I don't know that I have the vocabulary for what exactly this is, but it's good. It's well and thoroughly polished. And I think that when people give their remembrances of this game, that's something that definitely comes to bear. Yeah, Donkey King. Donkey King. Poison Pond. Was that the one we just got out of? Yeah. Poison Pond! There's an exclamation point and everything. Donkey King. I don't know which is the level I'm worst at. I'm sure we'll discover that throughout the play of this game. Buckadoo, 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 buckadoo. So this is another one of these techniques where they have not altered the core gameplay of this game even a little, but by just playing with the lighting, they've made it so much harder, or at least more novel, in order to push through and get your Kangs danked. If you don't mind the term. But I mean, they're still using the collectibles in the form of bananas to telegraph to you when you need to jump and like how to negotiate the environment. So they're giving you all the tools you need. One of the things I would like to do over the run of this program is get to the point where I can just blaze through this level without having to look. That would be fun. Yeah, I love the music in this level. We were talking about it earlier in the stream, so I won't go on and on about it for now, but beautiful little piece of music. Oh, Coo! Donkey Coo! Rope. Donkey rope. And jump. Oh, too far. Yeah, Banjo-Kazooie. Yeah, we just played Banjo-Kazooie. The podcast episode for it is actually coming up tomorrow, so you can find that at 2bitgameclub.com. I have a copy of Conker's Bad Fur Day, and it's definitely a game that I really, really, really liked at the time. A lot of people say that Conker's Bad Fur Day is the most like graphically sophisticated game for the N64, and in doing my research for the podcast to talk about why why Banjo-Kazooie is a sophisticated game. Yeah, I know I can roll into them. I had to learn about I had to learn about why. Oh no, did I lose progress? I think I didn't save. Oh no, we get to do Poison Pond again. Part of this is I'm not worried about losing or getting killed or whatnot, because I know that we're going to be playing Donkey Kong Country for many, many months to come, exclusively every Thursday at 2, or rather every Thursday at 12 in Eastern Time. So sorry if it's frustrating to see me not express any regret towards getting my monkeys murdered. But yeah, so it was interesting doing some research about the technological advances that were present in the N64, like learning about stuff like Gourind calculations for shading and Z buffering and the advances in anti-aliasing techniques and whatnot. So part of what I learned will tell me that to actually make Conker's Bad Fur Day look the way that it did, Rare went in and wrote their own microcode for the hardware. Microcode being the language that the programs use to speak to the hardware through, right? So you don't actually program in machine code. You program in some language, and then your microcode is the thing that's going to distribute instructions to your hardware to perform all those computing operations you designed in your program, which is the video game. And so in order to optimize the performance of the N64, they rewrote their own microcode to eke out extra like shading and extra lighting and extra polygons and deeper textures to make better use of the N64's hardware than even its hardware engineers were able to make use of. So that's pretty cool. Oh no, I gotta pay attention. I'm telling fun stories about the fun things about video games I learned. I'm getting my monkeys murdered. We should do like a monkey death count. Or maybe not. Maybe I'd feel bad about myself. Liam, head, game. Put it in there. My name's Liam, by the way. I don't know if I've introduced myself. I'm Liam Gallagher. I'm a bassist and a composer based out of Toronto, Ontario. I write for jazz bands and video games. And I also perform on the upright bass. I'm also a really bad piano player. I've got a band. We call ourselves Jazz Losers. It's a bunch of people who are playing on their second instrument. That's a little bit about me. So part of the reason why I'm doing this whole Donkey Kong Forever and 2-Bit Game Club thing generally is I want to know Donkey on, Donkey on, Donkey off, dank that on, dank on, dank on. I want to understand the history of the video game development world better, so that I can be a better member of a video game development team. So if everything I say about these games comes across as super nerdy and professionally or academically based, it's because it is. That's what this is. Yeah, my co-host for the on guard. Come on. My co-host for the podcast, which is going to be out tomorrow on our website, is his name is Brooke Jensen, and he is a programmer. Donkey Ong. No. Apparently we have a member in the stream who performs as a naughty clown for adults, which I think is an incredible idea. It's an incredible idea for the incredible times within which we live. Yeah, I don't mind giving out my full name on a stream. You know, I'm a professional, and I do professional work. And although live stream audiences do have a reputation for being immature and poorly behaved, in my experience with the 2-Bit Game Club, we've only attracted intelligent and thoughtful and articulate people. And I think that while I absolutely respect anybody who's choosing to remain anonymous on the internet, I think that one of the best ways for 2-Bit Game Club to continue to attract those people is to create a dialogue between real human beings and not pseudonyms, because we're proud of the work that we do here, and we're doing our best to give intelligent commentary. And intelligent commentary comes from people who are willing to stand behind their word and be identified, you know, be made responsible for the things that they say. And that's probably the most boring story you'll hear today. Welcome to the 2-Bit Game Club. The music is very soothing. Come on, let's do it. This is kind of a neat thing at the end of the level, because if you've kept on guard, getting through that school of fish, our Twitter handle is @2bit Game Club, so it's the number 2. My personal Twitter handle is Liam G IIV, or Liam G25, depending upon whether or not you're a music nerd. And yeah, so that's what we're about here at 2-Bit Game Club. And if people want to be mean to me on the internet, because they know my name, they are welcome to be mean to me on the internet. It will not ruin my day. Yeah, but for the people who do care and want to learn more about video games and get into learning about how to make them, or just learning how to understand the video games that they love a little bit better than they already do, I think there's some value there in being able to know who it is who's talking to you, being able to know who's claiming to know the answers to why video games are made the way they are and what works and what doesn't, so that if you disagree, you actually have somebody to take to task. That is how I feel. My monkey! Donkey Kong, however, feels perforated with spikes, because he's dead. I like the idea that, like, somewhere at the bottom of this canyon, or wherever we're crossing, there's just like 100 dead Donkey Kongs, like in a big, horrible heap. The little internal things about games that you never really think of. You know, where do Diddy and Donkey Kong go when they die? cool little rhythmic flourish in the end of the melody there. It went from straight eighths to eighth note, I guess it would have been quarter notes to quarter note triplets to straight eighths to eighth note triplets. So it's like da 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 da. Yeah, so just, I don't know. I like that. I don't know why I like it, but I do. Just, yeah, like when Donkey and Diddy die, they go to apparently they go to a bizarre hammer space place. Deal. At 1 o'clock my time, I'm actually starting a live stream with my co-host Emily on our next game of the month, which is Metal Gear Solid. But otherwise, I would love to join you. That's very soon. And Merticula, I believe I'm saying that right. I totally hear you about the idea of like the internet not being a safe space for women as it's for men. So I understand and completely respect that reservation. And I pledge that the 2-Bit Game Club will always be a place that is safe for women or men or people of any gender or whatever you identify as. I don't care because I don't get to vote on how you identify. It's not my place to say that you have a place here to share your thoughts about video games, because we're about video games and not about gender politics, and opinions are right and wrong no matter who has them. You know, the truth is the truth, and that's what we're after here on the 2-Bit Game Club. We're not after, I don't know what people who say things like that are after, who are mean to women, but that's not us. Oh! I died. Too much momentum there, Diddy. You were enthusiastic. The times I'm talking about are in Eastern Time in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. So, we're going to call an end there. Thanks for all the back and forth and the banter on the stream, guys. I got to do a little bit of technical changeover in order to get ready for our Metal Gear Solid live stream. But don't go away, because we're going to be back directly.